Number 3, this is where you came in.
Yeah, number 3, declutter and start packing. If I could get a doctorate in this, I would be Dr. Abbey.
Hola, I'm Shannon.
I'm Abbey.
And today we're going to tell you the 9 steps that we followed to move to Mexico in 3 months. And at the end, we'll share the timeline of how we did it. Okay, step 1.
Oh, deciding where we want to move to.
So that was the first thing that we did was like, okay, we have narrowed it down to Mexico. Where? And so we spent like weeks just like watching YouTube videos. What are the pros and cons of all the different cities?
Yeah.
And we had originally planned Mexico City in our case. And then because we were learning, we were like, nope, not going to work with this for us for like a few different reasons. And so in the process, we narrowed it down to Puerto Marta, and it's worked out really great.
Yeah.
So that was step number 1. Number 2 was to work on temporary residency.
Yeah, that was on you.
That was, yes. Yeah, so this part of the planning was more me. We'll get into the things that she was responsible for because we each had our own things. So the second thing that we did was we started working on temporary residency. And this is a whole topic on its own. Maybe we'll do a separate video just on this because it's got a lot to it. But highly recommend working on temporary residency as soon as possible because the rules are always changing and there's no downsides to doing it sooner as long as you plan to enter Mexico within 180 days of getting your visa. But that's number 2. And that was what we did as soon as we knew what city we wanted to move to. Number 3, this is where you came in.
Yeah, number 3, declutter and start packing. If I could get a doctorate in this, I would be Dr. Abbey. Because I am so good. I'm just the kind of person that if I haven't used it in a year and even sometimes in 6 months, it's got to go because it's just collecting dust. So I started going to the house and donating and then having garage sales and sold stuff on Facebook, sold stuff within our neighborhood, and I was able to get rid of everything and sell stuff in 2 weeks. It only took me 2 weeks to basically clear our house out.
We had both moved several times in the last few years, which requires you to declutter. So this was probably a little easier for us, but still, that's a lot of work.
Well, and plus, I'm a neat freak, and
I
said, I'm not a pack rat, so it's like, I'm just like, there's no need for this. We need to get, what are we doing?
But if you live in the same house for 25 years and you never had to declutter, this process might take
that I completely understand. So
And if you're making a move to another country, it is a necessary part of it. Step 4 was to start setting things up, which is super generic, but I'm putting a lot of things in this category because it includes things like the right bank account for our move. It includes our mailbox. It included just like insurance. So there's a lot of stuff that just has to be figured out. And this fell on me. So while she's like, setting up garage sales and giving away stuff on Facebook Marketplace or whatever it was, I was figuring this stuff out. And all that stuff has to be settled before you move. And when we got here, having all this stuff in place was very helpful.
Oh my gosh, yes, definitely was. She handles it because I don't do well with, I'm always afraid I'm going to mess something up, especially when it comes to like finances and
I have had that here too.
All that too. Yeah, you're just so much better at.
So this is, this category is just like, start setting up things for a new life in general, whatever that means for you. And each one's going to require a little bit of research. And at the end, we'll tell you how we learned how to do all this stuff. But number 5 is figure out how you're going to get to your destination. So one of the reasons that we chose Mexico was for the dogs because they could get here by land. So we knew that we would be arriving by land. But obviously, there's a million ways to do it.
Yeah.
You could fly and have movers take your stuff. You could drive yourself in your own car. There's a lot of ways to do it, but we had to figure out the way that we were going to do it.
And I giggle at this because we had so many conversations about it. And I was getting a little worried because I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you do this in a reasonably financial way of doing this with dogs and your stuff and everything without feeling like one person has to go down first and then another person. And then we found the way that we got down.
There are moving companies that focus on driving you to Mexico, and they will drive you, your pets, some of your belongings, the amount that fit in the vehicle that you're coming. They will do it without pets as well. They will do it just pets. People, they will do just your belongings. So for financial transparency, we spent about, I think, $4,200 on our movers, which seemed very reasonable to me, because one of the other options we were doing it to keep the dog safe was flying private.
Yeah.
That's a few more dollars than $4,000.
Yeah, and when we say few, we mean a crap ton more. But funny.
Yes. So for us, it felt reasonable. It got us here with the amount of belongings we wanted, the 2 dogs and us. It took about 3 days, and we got here. So it was the right solution for us, but there's lots of ways to go about it. These kind of services do book up months in advance.
Oh, yeah.
So having it sort of towards the beginning of our process was key. And we picked a moving date with this company before we even knew that we were going to be able to move by that date.
Before we sold the house, anything. Like, you really, with this, and everyone's situation is going to be different, 100%. But it's almost like you got to gamble a little bit and just hope that you get the right hand, or, and we got pretty lucky. We're very grateful. And we're not saying it's going to work out the same way for everyone. And there may be people like, oh, I don't know if that's the best thing for me. That's cool. That's, you got to do what's best for you. And yeah, you're going to have little trips along the way. And that's okay, because you got to figure it out. And that's what we did.
Six. This comes back to Abby, which is put your house for sale. Now we have a moving date. We have to get this house off our hands. I guess if you're renting, you got to let your landlord
know. Oh my gosh,
know.
if you're renting, you are such in an easy position.
But you do have to let your landlord know that your lease is ending. But if you own a house, you got to put that house for sale and cross your fingers.
And some of y'all that are watching this are going to, obviously, the first thing you're going to be like, wow, the market's crap. Yeah, you're right. It is. Again, there is some sort of great juju our way, because we sold the house in a week. And we were just like, okay, we really got lucky, because a backup plan, and that's the thing, have a backup plan. So,
like, what would our backup plan be?
So our backup plan with the house, which would, now thinking about it, would totally suck, would be that we were gonna go no matter what. So if the house wasn't gonna sell, our realtor is actually a friend of ours, and so we were just literally just going to have an empty house just sitting there. And then see if we can get buyers in, or potentially, the idea of renting it and all this other stuff came up, but we just wanted to get rid of it.
We also had it set up so that our closing was always going to be electronic, so that if it didn't sell and we were in Mexico, we could sign the papers remotely.
Yeah.
And I think you have to embrace the mess of this process, which is you might have overlap where our house was still for sale in the U.S. while we were in Mexico, but there also could be gaps. Like the house sells fast and we aren't ready to move to Mexico yet, so then there's a gap. Either way, you're going to have extra expenses, and it's not going to work out perfectly.
No, it's not.
But to your point, if it hadn't sold, there was a backup plan which would have had overlap of expenses.
Yeah, and that's okay, because in the long run, you want to get to your goal, which is to get to your new place in Mexico. And we got here, and now that it's over with, I'm like, okay, we got a pretty good deal. It was pretty smooth sailing waves, but we got past them.
That brings us to number 7, which is to book a place for temporary housing for when you're in Mexico. So now that you know when you're going to arrive, because you figured out how you're going to get there, so you may have booked a flight, you may have booked movers like we did, you have to have some place to stay. And the advice that I read said to book an Airbnb for at least a month, maybe 6 weeks, because you can't really look for places to live until you're here in person. I booked this Airbnb that we're in for 6 weeks.
Wait, Louis, do not rent or buy a place that you have not seen in person. Because if that was the case for this Airbnb,
We would be.
we'd have some problems.
We've had some issues with this Airbnb, but it is in the neighborhood that we thought we would like, and we do. It is a townhome, which has worked out pretty well for us. It's just this particular Airbnb. We wouldn't want to live here.
No.
But it has provided us a temporary housing to get settled and find a place to live.
Yeah.
So you got to book something.
Yeah.
Probably for 6 weeks. We are only we're staying here for a month. So we're not paying for the last 2 weeks, but we had an extra cushion. We found a place very quickly, which I will get to in a moment. But if we hadn't, we weren't rushing to find something. We had a little padding.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also just making sure that you know where you want to go in your final destination. So if you knew, like we knew that Versailles was on our list, or on top, so that's when we got the Airbnb. But then also when we got here too, it gave us a chance to also tour around the other, what is they called? Colonials? Colonias to check and see, but we still were like, nope, we're going to stay here in Versailles.
Right. Yes. So it worked out really well in that regard. That brings us to number 8, move. Whatever plans that you booked, movers, flights, whatever it is, you got to go.
And then you're going.
For us, it was scheduled to be on a Monday at 6 a.m., I think it was. And it started Monday around 6 p.m. 6 p.m., which was only 12 hours. That stressed us out because we had a domino of things to do. And we did make it to Mexico on time, as it turned out.
Yeah.
But you have to like physically move. We took 3 days to drive.
Yeah.
And
The dogs get great.
the dogs did great.
Stevie Nicks here especially, we had set up a little blanket area and she had her own little window and she just hung out there, and then she was such a good girl. I was so impressed with both of them actually.
We got to see a lot of Mexico
Yeah.
along the way. The high altitude, the more rustic parts,
Yeah.
and then, the end was more along the ocean because we're on the ocean.
Yeah.
And so it was, a great drive, a little scary because of the way the federal highways work. The lanes are just suggestions, and it's a whole system that they have in place here. But we weren't driving, so we didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
We had somebody else driving us.
Yeah, we just had that zip of anxiety every moment that we looked at up to the front
Yes.
of the van and we're like, ah.
Me in the car was like this.
Yeah.
I don't want to scream.
I know. Very, very surreal, I guess would be the best way of doing it.
But that was the 8th of our 9 steps to move.
Yeah.
The 9th step, and the last for this list, is going to be look for a new place. So we arrived on a Wednesday, and we met with a realtor who we had been communicating with for weeks or months beforehand on Monday. So she knew our budget. She knew that we had 2 dogs, which is important because not everybody
Yep.
accepts dogs. She knew the area of town they wanted to be in. And so she had set up a list of appointments for us to go. So this is the fun part. We were like, okay, now we get to go find new places.
And again, the luck of the universe was with us, and we found that such a great place because we only looked at 3 places, and they were literally right behind.
We could walk to all of them.
Yeah, we could. She came and picked us up, and then we just went around the block, and I'm like, okay, well, I feel silly, and we could just met you.
But we knew what we wanted.
Yeah.
And I would say all the research beforehand, we knew how much we should expect to pay. We knew kind of the neighborhood, what was available. We knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And we talked to plenty of other people who have had to look at dozens of properties. So there's a lot of luck. I compare it to dating because when I met you, it was like going into this townhome. And I was like, oh, yep, this is right. This is right.
She
And
just called me a townhome.
but I was single for years before we met. So I was saying no to a lot of other options. And then when I met her, I
She was
like,
saying
this
a lot. She was saying no to a lot of condos, but said yes to townhomes.
That's right. That's right. But it can happen anytime. So for us, it just happened to be the first thing we looked at, but we knew we got a good deal.
Yeah.
And then it was a perfect situation for us. So it was an easy yes. It was within budget. The landlords are fantastic.
Oh my gosh, they're great.
And so that's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and again, it's going to be your preference on what you want, the size of your family, if you have dogs or whatever. You just need to shop around. Just shop around and physically go to them, make an appointment.
Make sure you have a good agent.
Yeah, have a good agent, which we can obviously recommend ours.
But it's in all of the resources that we have used came from one source, the Mexico Relocation Guide. So when we started learning, back to step 1, learning about where we wanted to go, one of the resources that I used is the Mexico Relocation Guide YouTube channel and social media. And I realized they were going to be essential for us completing steps 2 through 9.
Yeah.
So all the resources that we used, the facilitator that is helping with us with our residency, the insurance agent, the realtor that we used, everybody, the movers, everything was from the Mexico Relocation.
It's like our Mexico Bible.
That's what we call it, our Mexico Bible.
It's such a good help. It's definitely worth it to make that purchase.
Yes.
And you might be a little like, whoa, I don't know if I want to. Trust me, because you get what you pay for, And this was actually a blessing to have that. And so I'm glad that we bought it, and it's been so helpful.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, for instance, bad realtors that aren't certified or licensed or whatever, and this allowed us to find somebody who is. Same with insurance agents. They vet it out for you as well as teaching you how things work. So I reached out to them after we got to Mexico, and I said, we're launching a YouTube channel. We would like to be able to refer people to you. Can we get a referral link? And so you can find that in the description below. So if you want to learn about all the different resources and steps and everything in detail, that is the way to do it. So to add some dates to some of the steps that we talked about, just to give you a context, we did this all in 3.5 months. In February, we spent the month watching YouTube videos and narrowing down not only the city, but kind of the neighborhood or the neighborhoods that we were considering. That was February. Then March 4th is when we bought the Mexico Relocation Guide, and then it was game on because now we had all the resources we need. March 11th is the first time I contacted a facilitator to help with our residency, and that has been key to navigating the legal system here in Mexico. March 28th, I met with the facilitator and began the residency process, which does have to start in your home country. 2 days later, on March 30th, I booked our movers, and at that time, our move date was April 30th, 2.5 months out. Because of the increased demand, the timelines are even longer now, so more like 4 months or so. April 5th, garage sale. Happened to work out because our neighborhood was having one.
Big neighborhood garage sale, yep.
So April 5th, we had a garage sale, got rid of a lot of stuff at that time. 5 days later, April 10th, our house was listed for sale.
As you list this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds insane. Who does this?
And we did it.
We did it.
So April 10th, the house was listed for sale, and it sold a week later. Okay. April 16th, had an appointment with the consulate and got temporary residency. April 25th, our house sold. Well,
That's when we signed the documents, and then
we had an
obviously-
offer. Yeah. But also that day is when health insurance got finalized. So it was a very big day in the Shabby household because
day.
I was waiting to hear about the insurance and make sure we could get approved. So we got signed on the house and finalized insurance on April 25th. May 23rd is actually, we closed on the house and we moved to a local Airbnb. June 16th, we moved to Mexico, and we arrived June 18th because it was a couple of days to get here. And then lastly, June 23rd is when we met with the realtor and found a new place. We did move a little bit faster, or a lot faster than some people, but it is doable.
Yeah.
And no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. Okay, anyway. So we look forward to sharing more, but that's just kind of the highlight of how we got here. And in future videos and other videos, we'll go into more detail.
I know it.
Right?